Information,
I'm waiting.
recording and transcription has started.
Yep, lights on.
Oh,
Okay, good evening. This is the Enfield Planning Board special meeting. It is Wednesday, October 1st, and we're calling the meeting to order at 6:30 PM. We are at the Enfield Public Works Facility. And also we are on the Microsoft Teams virtual platform. I see that our minutes taker, Kristen, is online to take more minutes. Kristen, welcome.
Thank you.
So first order up, roll call, attendance from my left.
Linda Jones.
Eric Russell.
Dan Kiley.
I'm David Fract.
Tim Jennings.
Nate Miller.
Paul Bianco.
Bill Griffin, alternate.
Kirk Reinhardt, alternate.
And staff.
Rob Taylor, staff.
Okay. First order of business is continuation of public hearing P 250902, Bark and Bevy Incorporated, minor site plan review for what has been known as Mickey's on Route 4 and Baltic Street.
Everybody get one of these? This is the revised.
So, I think we left it last week that you were going to supply a legible site plan.
Seemed reasonable. Appreciate you letting us come back here today. Rob did help look at old things because it had been suggested that we must have something on file at the city for previous ones, and there wasn't anything other than the plans to add those gazebo things. What?
Igloos.
Those things.
Igloo,
Yeah,
right.
they're no longer there, so there we go. So what we decided was, an aerial view, I think courtesy of, Apple Maps. Again, we're not changing the outside, as far as a parking lot, adding, deleting anything, that's currently there. The traffic patterns are there. I think Nate, you might have had a question about the loading. It's going to be the same way it's always been with the same vendors even. So most everything it'd be dollied in. There's not gonna be a need for like a truck in the way. That is 18 feet from the little wall where those igloos were to the back of a parking spot. And I'm not sure if there were other questions.
We've got the traffic circulation. Got parking spaces outlined. The outdoor seating / toys, is that something for you or is that a holdover?
That's for us. So we plan to put, I don't know, I'm thinking 4 to 6 of those, old tables that are out there, the wrought iron tables, just so that and possibly like a little bouncy horse thing or something for some kids, just so they have a place to run around and lose their mind. Small children, again, aren't allowed in the off-leash dog area. So in the summer when it's nice, might as well let people have a good time. Again, no dogs are allowed out there.
No dogs in the outdoor seating area.
Correct.
Okay. So that will alleviate anybody's concerns of
The brook.
the brook being polluted with,
Exceptional amounts of dog urine.
yes, possibly, dripped ice cream and spilled
There
Coke
might be
from the
that.
kids.
Right.
I guess that's acceptable.
It's been there before.
Mhm. And it shall continue.
Yep.
You're maintaining a drive-through?
Yes.
Okay. That's all the questions and comments that I have. Board members,
I don't have any
Oh,
questions.
almost that.
Mr. Miller.
Yeah, well, thank you for your efforts on this. It's
I mean-
definitely much more understandable and,
To us all. I appreciated the feedback very much. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. and I want to point here, this particular parking spot
The,
right here.
the little one next,
Rob, is it possible to pull this up on the screen?
Yes, I think I put it on stick drive, you can grab it.
Might be easier if I could.
Is that the one that says employee parking?
No, it's the
Six?
one-
No,
that
it's
butts
the-
up to
it's the
it.
one that's right
Oh, gotcha.
next to that.
Okay, gotcha. Right in the corner.
That, if you're actually going to have employee parking,
Mhm.
6 people parked in this rectangle,
Right?
it's not actually,
It's not gonna be.
No.
not gonna be possible to have actual
Space.
access and egress
No,
at that particular location.
it wouldn't go up that far. It wouldn't go all the way up for sure. I did see your note on that. But we will either take out that parking
Land.
spot or we'll make it very clear with a barrier so employee parking can't go all the way up. Based on your feedback, that made sense to me.
Sure, we don't want anyone to get locked in, including us.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what
Yeah.
comes to mind with
Yeah.
that particular.
That was great feedback.
Follow up to Nate's question, if you're finished.
Go ahead, yeah.
Will you ever have 6 employees at one time?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
We always have to have 2 downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it just makes, or, but between us and the employees, yeah, there'll be
Okay.
6.
So it's just, that bottom right parking space that we're talking
Yeah,
about,
right
right
there.
there.
Yeah.
So if you had actual, employees parking
All the way.
in that area,
Mhm.
they're probably,
Yeah, they're gonna probably start down here and go this way and stop, right? Like that, we'll need to put a barrier here.
even so though, it's just
Still-
skewed it away
It's
that
still,
Right.
so are
it-
you suggesting this is better to just take this one away?
I am, yeah.
Keep rid of
I don't know.
Done.
Or motorcycles.
Oh,
Oh.
that's good.
And then the other one is the one that's next to the building. The kind of parallel kind of space to the side of the building,
This
that
one
one.
right there,
Mhm.
how what,
That one, okay, so let's imagine you had somebody parked in the ADA parking spot.
Yeah,
And you had somebody parked in where Rob's cursor is.
Right.
How do I exit if somebody's parked in the ADA parking spot? And really the way I would have to exit to get around that is I've got to back up. And it's a blind movement because I can't see what's coming because the corner of the building is
Mm.
blocking me.
yeah,
So, and the people who are coming through into your site
yeah,
can't see me either because the corner of the building is blocking them.
yeah,
So that becomes a conflict point where I'm having to back up into kind of the travel way of your site
Sure.
while other people are coming through and it's blind because of
sure.
so I guess I don't think that parking space is advisable, the
Okay.
way that it's
Maybe another motorcycle parking.
Or-
laid out.
Or just not, I mean, we do have plenty of parking. I believe that is not a problem. We will adjust.
Yeah,
And, we're gonna need to repaint at some point anyway, so we'll make sure that that's all looked at.
and then just the loading area, if that works for you, it's just, I was trying to imagine how a truck would
Yeah. I,
kind of,
Yeah.
function in that particular, the way that that's
Yeah.
laid out.
it's definitely all stuff that'd be dollied in, right? There's not a truck that's gonna come and back up or go
No,
in.
not at
and,
all.
They're
They're gonna park next to the outdoor seating area and then
I don't know that,
cross.
I don't know that they even do that. They may be coming up around the side. They might be over in the overflow parking as well. But we can definitely tell them what we want them to do.
Do you expect, like, I don't know, who your supplier is Cisco or whoever?
Right.
Is it, normally they come with an 18-wheeler, right?
Right,
So that,
right.
the old site plan it appeared to show the loading area around where the outdoor seating is. But
It-
that was kind of illegible and it was old and not.
Yeah, no, it is, it's always been right there. That's the door. That's what kind of the loading means. It's
Right.
just the
Yeah.
door. But it's all gonna be dollied in. But I will talk with the supplier also to make sure, how they plan to do it.
Yeah.
They've done it for years, so they know what they're, because nothing's changed, so I'll just make sure that it's not unacceptable to my risk level either.
And it might be just a regular like bobtail truck or one of those short little,
Right, yeah,
I see those a lot.
I don't know, it's US Foods
Yeah.
primarily.
You get those at the hospital all the time, real small ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, the sales rep, it's local.
yeah, it's very cool dude. We met him a couple times.
yeah, I mean, the only kind of consideration there is you wanna make sure that wherever the truck is parking,
People can get
even
around
if you're dollying it,
Right.
the people in the walkway have good vision. that you're not
Absolutely.
impeding the flow of traffic around the site and,
Totally agree.
so I guess if that works for you and you have a safe place for an 18-wheeler to park and dolly, that's fine. But I do think that
Mhm.
parking space in the bottom right and then the one along the building probably are both inadvisable.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep, that makes sense.
But other than that, really appreciate your efforts to give us a a site plan that
You could read?
gives an understanding
Oh,
of
come on.
how things work, yeah.
Reading is important. I appreciate all the feedback. I tell people all the time, every question and comment is super helpful to us, and we can't say enough about Enfield as a whole, about how helpful you've all been. So thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you for your expertise.
Yeah.
Well, and his diligence, right, to make sure we did it.
Makes us think, you don't wanna
These
have
are
a problem
things
later on.
that, we didn't have the expertise prior to your joining. So,
That's
tried.
awesome.
and you succeed. Any other comments or questions from board members? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this proposal as written, as submitted.
We had a couple of conditions.
Can I suggest that we accept the proposal with the repurposing of those two parking spaces in question?
Yes, with the repurposing of those two parking spaces in question.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in
We're in a discussion item.
discussion.
I don't think we need to do that. These parking areas have been there for two different owners, Mickey's and then the Guzanos for a while. They've worked it out. I think these folks are gonna need to find out how their operation functions. Once you get going, you need to have flexibility. You might end up with a slightly different parking arrangement, which I don't see why we should be concerned about. We've suggested maybe some safety issues. Your insurance company is probably gonna have some further advice there along that lines. But I don't think the planning board needs to get that granular in detail about the parking on this site.
Is there agreement with Tim?
I agree.
Not for me.
Yeah, I do. I don't think we need to, as long as they have adequate parking, I don't think we need to micromanage how it's arranged.
I think it's very much within the planning board's purview to make sure that circulation of the site is safe and efficient.
It's definitely within the planning board's purview. The question, as I interpret it, is it necessary in this particular site?
And that's right, David. I think there's some cases, particularly if it's a brand new site that we need to really pay attention to, but I just don't want to constrain these folks in terms of how they see fit to operate their site.
Any comments to Tim's explanation?
Good question. I was away, but I was able to follow the meetings online. And my understanding was that a previous presentation for this, it was concerned about what was the paperwork that was presented and the lack of site plan regs being followed. and it was stated that they could use the old Castano site plan. But this is not a, what was, I don't believe, I don't believe this is what Castano presented, a aerial photograph.
It's not.
So
It's not available.
the plat that they presented is no longer available. Castano's and Mickey's and
Yeah.
they had a, I'm assuming, I believe, a site plan with drawings and measurements and parking laid out.
Guzano's did.
And this is a photograph of what they actually ended up doing.
That's, well, that's what I was wondering, because
Yeah.
without them side by side, I don't know I haven't seen
Do we care?
since, well,
This is what they
Yeah.
want to do.
right, but you're concerned about Nate's concerned about two parking spaces, being shown on this picture. And you're saying it's an exact copy of what Casano has, but we don't have Casano's plat to look at.
I trust them.
That's all, that's my
Right.
question.
What was presented last time, you couldn't read the legend, you couldn't understand some of the symbols. The parking is the same in the previous paperwork that you reviewed last week,
Right.
where there are measurements and those types of things. But I know Rob went and looked quite a bit to see what was there. All we found was the documentation for the igloo, so it only showed that outdoor seating area, how they had rearranged it. And then I'd asked Vinny, the inspector, to also look. He hasn't yet found anything.
And the other site plan that what we talked about last week, the one that was difficult to read. And I wish I had it in front of me, didn't show that parking space at the side of the building. It showed bollards there. What appeared to be bollards based on to kind of explicitly, it seemed like prevent people from being in the area where that side parking space is. So it didn't actually show that on the plan. They may have done that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't on the plan that came here last.
Right, but I mean, that was basically sort of getting to my point is that's why whatever's in the file you use as your base, if something is different, then you can go back to the file and say, sorry, but this is what you presented and we agreed to, and it's not what's happening on the ground right now. And so if you agree with this, this is gonna be what's in the file. But if you're saying that this is the same as Casano's and Mickey's, but we don't have that to compare, it's just a word of mouth. I just haven't,
I don't really care if it's the same as Mickey's or Gazano's. I'm just suggesting it's not much different, if any at all. Just from having eaten there and driven around, and my wife works at the thrift store, or watch the traffic there a lot. So, I mean, if these folks 6 months from now decide they need to swap the circulation the other way, I mean, well, that may be a little much, but.
It'd be a lot, yeah. We'd come back.
But to rearrange the parking after they've experienced how their business operates and that sort of thing,
well, I mean,
does that mean a new site plan?
and that goes both directions. You can eliminate parking or you can add parking spaces that are not shown on here. So.
Yeah.
If they start adding spaces that are not shown on here, is that difference? Is that an issue?
And
That's what I'm getting at. Like,
I think this case is just so simple. We don't need to micromanage the site.
no, I'm not,
operation.
yeah, I'm just saying, just, if you want, if the board wants to agree, I'm not be voting, because wasn't at the present one, and I'm an alternate currently. If your board wants to go with this, that's what you do.
Right.
I'm just raising the concern.
Well, the aerial photograph is clearly taken during the Gazano's period. We know that because of the stone wall that separated the seating area from the parking lot. And from my point of view, working from an aerial photograph which depicts the most recent tenant in that building is even better than a site plan which may have been deviated from.
Well, I don't know if it's better, but in this application, I think it's completely adequate. Anyway,
Anyhow,
we've stated our cases. We probably should vote.
we should vote.
So what did I
Let's
do?
see,
Did I-
so
An amendment to,
On the floor is, the on the floor has the removal of the 2 parking spaces.
and so how do we vote on that first?
You gotta vote on that first. If you wanna vote it down, then you can vote it down and then put the spaces in, or you can vote for this one.
Or can I offer an amendment to the motion on the table?
No,
no. Thank you, Dan. He knows Robert's rules better
you only
than
have
I
one,
do.
you can only have one change. at a
All
time.
right, so
We want to
the,
give Tim a chance to make an amendment. We all vote no, and then he can make an.
Or you could withdraw your motion.
Or you withdraw your original motion,
I'd like to withdraw my original motion.
then I will withdraw my second.
okay. So we are back to essentially ground zero. Would somebody care to make a motion on the site plan less the 2 parking spaces?
No, it's the other way around. We want it to be the site plan.
Okay, the site plan
Just
As we,
as,
withdrew that one,
as presented
as presented.
on this. Nobody wants to make a motion?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Raise your hands.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it.
Count it.
So, what?
Count it. 1, 2, 3.
6-1.
6-1.
6-1, okay. Just for the benefit of her.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
right,
6-1.
6-1. And I unfortunately did not bring my paperwork from last meeting. But I recall saying a condition would be a sally port at the dog level entrance.
Yes,
Yeah, we-
absolutely.
We knew we were having that.
Mhm.
So all in favor of that as a condition?
What is this, Alan?
Sally
Double
port,
door.
because you've clearly never been in jail.
It's an entrance. You close that door, the next door can open so that
Oh, that,
only the
right.
dogs.
Dogs can't get away.
Yeah.
And in this case, there would be visual communication
Mhm.
on both of the doors.
Yep.
So I am motioning that a sally port be a condition on the lower level dog and people entrance.
How about, can we say the salad port for the off leash area?
That describes it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody want to second my motion?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
This is a separate motion than the one before, not a.
It probably should have included.
It should have been included, but I thought we were
I thought it was in the
just
site
voting on the map. So the motion has been made, seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed?
You guys just broke Dan.
It looks unanimous again?
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you all.
Well, they're unanimous the first time, so it's not unanimous again.
I didn't say it again.
Yeah.
Somebody else
I
said
wasn't
that.
voting for that part.
All right,
Thank you.
We'll get you.
good luck with your renovations.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
And we will see you
Okay.
in, January.
Well, we hope you come by.
Or sooner.
Good luck, yeah.
Thanks.
Very
Appreciate
excited.
all your efforts to
Hey, well, thank you.
come back to me.
Yeah.
We'll make sure it's safe, Nate.
Thank you.
Good luck tonight.
All right. Next, conceptuals, we don't have any. Report from Rob. Man, you, how about Eric?
Select board,
All right, how about Eric?
I mean, if you're reading.
Right.
I wasn't, I don't have my reading glasses on, so it's kind of,
I know what that is.
all
I
right.
just could put them here for you. We go back and forth.
Got them right here.
There's another pair right here if you'd like to try.
I've got a pair.
They've been here for weeks.
I just didn't have them on my face. All right, yeah, it's still conceptuals, none, and then select board.
All right, yes, we had a good meeting last week. Included in this sort of town update, one interesting thing from this summer was we had 76 digs in our water system for leaks. Which is just an interesting piece of data that, we had a long discussion around speed limits, focusing largely on Crystal Lake Road, but just learning about a new law for, seasonal speed limits in town, so I had a discussion around that. I got an update on the strategic planning and the finance review, which is sort of an ongoing, once a month, agenda item. And that was what most of the discussion was.
Okay. Rob, that is the use.
I'm happy to report that the Laramie Farms developer has been in touch with me and said that their traffic engineer is doing a traffic study at Route 4 and 4A. They will be in town 2 days in the next week. I think they're gonna do a Sunday and a Tuesday. And they wanted us to know because if we see people doing stuff there, actually telling people in Lebanon as well, so that if anybody calls City Hall in Lebanon, like, what's going on? So they'll be doing some kind of instrumentation that they can put out that helps to count the cars. I know you can do it a couple of different ways. Somebody sits there and goes click, click, click every time the car goes by. They have some kind of higher tech thing that can analyze it for us. So that's good news. Let's say, zoning board in a couple weeks has a single application for a variance. It is, and this is good for you guys to have, or at least hear. And I think this is a symptom of the current housing crisis that we're in. And I think we're gonna see more of this. It is a camper that is in continuous use occupied lot. As you guys know, the zoning's fairly clear. You are allowed 6 months of camper use on a vacant lot without a house. If that lot has a house, you're allowed 3 weeks of a calendar year of use. Obviously, you could store a camper, but we can kind of tell the difference when the slide outs are out and the utilities are connected and there's a little doormat underneath the steps and definitely in this case, it's one on Route 4A where they've actually installed some skirting around it too. It's been in use for quite a while, so we've took some action from a zoning enforcement standpoint, and we heard from the people that are using the camper, and they're having no luck finding housing. They said they've actually almost up to 40 swings and misses on housing. It's various things that are conspiring. It's a young family. They are doing a good job in terms of connecting to the septic system, so they're not disposing of waste illegally or anything like that. They have obviously property owner permission to be there. So they're applying for a variance. We'll see what happens. We do have some history there where we did do a variance several years ago for a bog road site. Somebody that sort of similarly dispositioned there. So I do think as I've started driving around more regularly lately, I see more campers. And I think that's gonna be something that we're gonna deal with. I don't know what the solution is there. Likely to have more applications for variances if we continue to have enforcement and so forth. We do have several letters out on junk cars. I have a couple that are right close by to here, you guys are probably familiar with. One of the owners,
The ones in my yard.
no, you're allowed one, and you got one, right? Plow truck,
Sort of.
okay. So, the good news is they're
The other
slowly
one
getting
is
their.
buried.
they're getting their hands on top of it, the several of the letters that I've sent out. One of them, the one right up here on the corner, has removed 7 of probably 15 cars that were there. So good news there. When I send the letters to these guys asking for compliance and, you know, noticing them of, zoning, violations, I now include several contacts that we've made for companies that are willing to come and take it away for nothing. And so I mean, in the past, I don't know if I can afford to get these things cleaned up, but that's not a problem. We can find you a company that will come and take these things for the scrap value. Obviously, I mean, metal's worth money, and so I think a hulk of a wrecked car, a junk car, is $500 cash. Obviously, you gotta pick them up and take them, so somebody's doing that work. You have questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
When you, allowed that variance on the camper a number of years, what was the time frame that you allowed, indefinite or a certain number of months?
No, they definitely gave an expiration. I think it was like a year. They got a year.
Thank you.
Yep. So they definitely wanted a sunset to happen.
Right.
I think that's what this one that's been applied for, they've asked for, I think calendar year 26, if they can. Obviously, if they can find housing, they'll be out sooner, but, and of course, we've notified the neighbors and we'll see what the neighbors have to say. But I do think it's gonna be an issue. I think it's gonna be something we'll see more of. We also have several that are sort of, not campers, but houses that are sort of becoming, I'll call them bunkhouses, which is not a violation of zoning per se. If you're letting people rent a room in your house, you can do that. Several examples of that around town. But it's certainly becoming more and more of an issue. We do have one that's been kind of a particular problem because it's not just multiple people in the house. There's been some dog issues and some crime, and police chief has sort of had it. But again, it's not illegal to rent a room in your house. You can rent somebody, I mean, I can rent a room. My dad rents rooms in his house. So what we're most concerned with is the egress, you know, from a building inspection standpoint, is we don't want people using the basement for a bedroom that doesn't have proper egress. Cause you can literally get stuck down there and burn, you know, that's a danger. So we had one last year that we took action. They were using a basement that did not have any egress other than just the single staircase coming down from upstairs. No bulkhead, no windows, nothing. That's very dangerous and we don't want that to be the case. Tim, you had a question.
Just about the junk cars. I'm just curious if you're getting any flowers and thank you notes from the wives of the guys with the cars.
It's fun, it's funny. There is that. There's definitely been that several times from previous enforcement actions. We're continuously kind of monitoring that. You know, we tend to deal with complaints. That's usually what prompts it. And I do, you know, from driving around, if I see something, we'll take some action. But it's a kind of a constant process. I mean, I was a selectman in Plainfield in 20 years. It was a 20-year thing. It's just, and Jim tells stories about when he was in my job. You probably have some experience when you were doing it. It's just a constant thing. It's, you know, if you put junk cars inside a building, you're okay. It's just, you can't store them outside. You only are allowed one. Once you go to 2, it constitutes an illegal junkyard. Renee and I have an event coming up on the 18th, which is just a few weekends away. It's gonna be at Whitney Hall upstairs in the nice space up there. It's a, we calling it, builders,
Home creator.
home creator
Mini expo.
mini expo. We're largely gonna be talking ADUs, but I think that we decided to broaden it a little bit. We're gonna have some architects, some builders, some financing, bank people.
Yeah.
And so we've got flyers up. I put notice in their newsletter. We'll put a flyer on the bulletin boards. Tell your friends if you know anybody that'd be, we're really trying to get the word out. I mean, I had Matt Dow. You guys know Matt Dow, who's a very big builder from Kane and MTD Contractors. And I was chatting with him a few months ago and I was like, yeah, well, we got the double ADU. And he said, what? I said, yeah, we allow 2 ADUs. And geez, I didn't know that. I said, we also allow 1,200 square foot, you know, and he was like, and I was like, you know, kind of,
Yeah.
the light bulb moment for us is like, we still need to get the word out. That's kind of what we're trying to do. Hopefully we get some interest in that. So that's happening. I guess I'll leave it at that. We're moving into the part of the meeting. If anybody has questions, feel free.
Getting back to the camper issue, since you and I talked about that 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a thought. During COVID, we relaxed some zoning restrictions. I think specifically on outdoor seating for restaurants.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if the housing crisis might prompt a relaxation of the requirement for a variance and put it at the discretion of Vinnie, who's our health inspector. And that would save people who are unhoused or minimally housed
Yeah.
the time and expense and anxiety of having to go before the zoning board. So I would ask our select board representative to consider that.
It's a good idea.
I
And
think that was an executive decision
it was.
at that time.
Select board decision.
Kurt has a comment?
Yeah, well, 2 comments. One is the seating was probably fell under site plan, which is strictly a planning board issue. We can change and modify on our own. Zoning, the camper is a zoning reg, which means town meeting change.
I think they could, if they wanted to give us guidance in terms of enforcement, they could.
That's
That
different.
happens at
That's
the
different.
executive level as
Right,
well.
I mean, that's different. You just
Right.
look the other way.
Yep.
But to
Right.
put it in paper, it has to be a town meeting. And my other question was, being that we hopefully gonna have some update thing on zoning for this town meeting coming. And when I went through Tim's thing, I got a whole list of questions and comments from my, on that. And being that that section is not part of any of the specific zones, it's a town-wide thing. My question is, why is it 6 months okay with on a vacant lot, but only 3 weeks on a building lot or house lot?
Could we just,
You know, what's,
it's a good questions, Kurt, but I'm wondering maybe if we take that up.
Yeah.
And get to that section in.
Yeah.
In the zoning ordinance.
Yes.
I have similar,
right, I don't wanna get into a discussion with that. I'm just saying that's.
The reg actually appears in each zone.
yeah,
It's 2
It's
paragraphs.
almost word for word in each zone,
Each zone.
but not
Yeah.
quite.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah,
Obviously, the concern has been, I think, going back to the adoption of the zoning, that, typical campers are not really good for winter housing. They're not well insulated, the heating systems are a little bit, meager. But the one in question, they actually purchased this camper that had an upgraded winter kit. So that's why it's got the skirting around it and it's, we're real concerned about carbon monoxide, make sure they have functioning, because Vinnie's been involved with that as well from the building inspection, so that we're safe. It's the most,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing, that we want our people to be safe. But it is, it's, some people would say it's kind of a eyesore to see some junky old camper set up in somebody's yard forever. But I mean, I was just coming down, I came over Jones Hill, coming back from supper tonight, and I saw a few campers with the slide outs out, and I was like, like I said, I think as this crisis matures, we're doing a lot to try to solve it, but I just think it's gonna be more and more of an issue. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, I know we've
Yeah.
talked about it, so.
I mean,
Food for thought.
it's not just New Hampshire or New England. It's nationwide from everything that I read. And it's not going to be solved tomorrow
Right.
or the next day.
or tonight.
So, anything else, Rob?
That's it.
Okay, legislative update. I think I filled everybody in on the 4 bills or LSRs that I had filed. So those are in process. They have numbers. I think at this point, all of them are considered bipartisan. And we will see what happens. I found out today from a colleague that there is oh, it's not here. There is a bill that is proposed that would overturn last year's bill to have a study committee on zoning, which is essentially designed to get rid of zoning. So I think it's actually sponsored by a Republican. So I think there should be enough people voting for that bill this year that the study committee will be disbanding and we will have zoning continue in the state, knock on wood. Let's see. Municipal and county had a work session and exec session a week ago. It was nonsense. We talked about the ability of municipalities to ban gasoline-powered snow and lawn equipment. And conversely, a municipality's legislative body could authorize the municipality to go all electric. And I don't remember where that one went. And the other bill that we tried to massage had to do with concentration of power and incompatible offices. And the bottom line on that was, let's have a study committee look at it. So.
David, I did have one other thing just popped in my head. Nate we were talking about it, the Gasset hearings, that's the 10-year plan.
Yeah, the transport.
So there is a hearing coming up in, this month on the 21st.
Yep.
At Lebanon City Hall that I'm gonna attend. I think we'll have several Enfield people there. You guys are all encouraged to come if you want.
I will be there.
We wanna sort of get on record. Megan Butts from the RPC has sent out lots of reminders and encouraging us because as Nate had indicated, the project specific to Enfield that we've been waiting on for quite a while is sort of falling down through the cracks, and state of New Hampshire is just kicking that can down the road. And we're still on track for some engineering.
Yeah, I believe they have PE and right of way programmed, but cut all the construction funding.
And it was supposed to be next year, right? It had finally come to the.
Don't have the schedule in front of me, but the construction funding of that's like, $8 million or something, your expenditure basis. So the large majority of funding for the project is proposed to be removed in this 10-year plan. I was presenting at the hearings yesterday and Monday on 10-year plan in other parts of the state. So those hearings are ongoing, and certainly any Enfield residents or officials that want to have their say on the 10-year plan, that Lebanon hearing is going to be the closest one. I believe they will be in Newport tomorrow. They're in
21st.
I was in Derry Monday and Bedford last night. They are in Hampton tonight and Newport tomorrow. So Newport is not that far away if people can't make the Lebanon one, but the Lebanon one would probably be the most convenient.
Yeah. While you were out, I announced that there is a bill this session. I think there's a bill this session, or going to be one, that would overturn last session's, I think it's 399, the one to have a study committee on the history of zoning. And is it applicable today? So I found out today that a Republican has filed a bill to overturn and disband that study committee, which would be good thing for zoning.
comment about the legislature, I think is general enough that. Okay, so there's certainly clear messages from the legislature that we want towns to loosen up their zoning, allow more housing. And that's coming from both sides of the aisle. What I'm not sure the legislature is aware of is how difficult it is to either replace or amend a zoning ordinance. You gotta have some expertise, or else you're just like we are, trying to do this thing on our own time. We're not experts at it and that sort of thing. So, that's great. Saying, you know, you need to update your zoning ordinance, but we need money to do that, to hire, consultants to do that. So, but no need to argue that.
That's a valid point, and the solution put forth by the housing committee has been state mandated, one size fits all zoning. And we're starting to see how that does not work well in all communities. And I'm sure we'll see changes going forth. So, and also remember that the HOP grants are monies given to towns to update their zoning specifically for housing. But you're right, it costs money. Planning boards are lay people. And we need professional consultants, regional planning firms, whomever, to help all 200 and some odd towns that have zoning ordinances update their zoning. But, you know, like Rob said, like I said, we're not gonna get out of the housing situation tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. It's gonna be a long process. Okay. Let's put the minutes off because Renee has been waiting almost an hour. Very patiently as usual. So let's go into the HOP grants.
Yeah, so, hopefully we can see some work on these HOP grants coming through, and to Tim's point, yeah, it does take some funding, and so the HOP has been very important, I think instrumental, and there was a case study report that was done as well from New Hampshire Housing that highlighted a few of the towns, Wilmette being one of them from the last round, and I think that initiative is to also get it in front of legislators to see kind of how the funding does help, like assessed, so. I'll get off my soapbox from that, but, so, yeah, so tonight, thank you for doing the special session and work session. I think we've got a lot of good stuff, work that's been done and started. One thing, if you want to take one and pass it around to start, this will just get our brains going a little bit. A little quick exercise. And so a lot of what we've been talking about and looking at is the dimensional controls, right? So what sizes are the lots in these proposed new districts? What's existing today in these areas and what's being proposed going forward? So if you want to take a minute and jot down to your recollection what is existing today in these areas, you remember, recall, and there's no wrong answer. Take a stab at it. And then what you, after the public forum, after many discussions that we've had, what would you propose as part of this? And again, this is just kind of mental to get into the framework before we kind of look at some of the drafts. And the step backs, I realize the bottom of the boxes, I'm sorry, the lines didn't go all the way down, but you can fill those in for each correlating strips.
So you haven't, so minimum lot size, you haven't indicated whether this is with town sewer and water or without.
You're right. So you can put two answers in there,
So
one
this
for
is
width.
a hard test.
This is all.
Okay.
Didn't know you're gonna come tonight and get a little quiz, but pop quiz.
Okay,
But you can, yeah, if you can put your answer without and then one answer with, and asterisk it if you want to.
Eric, are you cheating?
I've written stuff down. I had actually filled out one of these tables several months ago for myself. I'm trying to find it. Cause then I don't have to remember what I put down.
I mean, is this an open book test or not?
Oh, good question. Let the board decide that.
Go ahead.
This is not a timed one, so you're good. You can take the phone.
This is the answer sheet.
It's not. You know what? Surprise. There is no right or wrong answers unless the state tells us. No, just kidding. No, but, I was working on it and she falls asleep and so, and I'm like, wait. It's up there.
Just keep coming.
Nah.
Just keep coming.
You're right, it's not the answer. So, all right, so don't get too far ahead of me. We wanna go through your pop quizzes first. And does anyone
I
want
don't
to?
think I
share?
like my, I think
It is-
I've mixed up
Okay.
proposed and
Right, and I
Oh,
didn't put down, right, and I should have said downtown current is technically the CB district, right? So that is what is currently today,
Was there a third paper that came around?
the red.
Two.
There'd be two packets, yep, just two. I don't know that we're gonna get to Route 4 tonight, so I'm just kind of
Right.
honing in on the downtown and Enfield Village.
Yep.
As high priority kind of for those more of the housing topics. I mean, the Route 4 is as well, but we'll get to that a little bit later on some notes from the team. So anyone wanna shout out what they had for existing? And you don't have to, don't want to. But- Or proposed,
No takers.
no takers, all right. Quarter acre
Quarter acres.
I didn't remember what
With-
it is in the Route 4 zone though, because it's different.
is very different than Route 4. You can
Right.
drop off Route 4 tonight.
Okay.
Is the quarter acre. But it's existing, but yeah, we already passed that.
So current state in what is to be proposed, the downtown and village or CB and R1 is 1 acre if on town water and your own sewer. And a quarter acre if you have town water and if you're up on
Up
town
top, so
sewer. So for 1 dwelling unit as well. So keep that in mind, as we're talking through some of these drafts and, as you're kind of putting the pencil to the paper and working it out. So in these districts currently, if you were to have a 4 unit, you would need 1 whole acre. Or if no water and sewer is in the supply in that lot, you would need 4 acres. So that's pretty hefty there. A lot of land in these kind of more internal regions of the town. With the densities. So. Any questions, thoughts on proposed? What did folks think of when they thought of the proposed downtown, which put the map up, sorry, it's a little dark there, but just so we have a bigger map of what we are looking at again. For that downtown. I know we've talked about the least restrictive, right? Give the most relief in the downtown, make it as low bar as possible.
Eric, you had a thought on that?
Yeah, so I had gone through this several months ago and thought through, so I'd have to read all of it in order for it to make sense. But I can go through it if people are interested to do it. So for minimum lot size where municipal sewer is used. What I wrote was, and I wrote this actually for, just in general for the whole district was. Lots may be any size so long as all other requirements are met and non-buildable lots cannot be created through subdivision. That way, every lot in town is conforming. You don't get non-conforming lots, but property owners have this flexible, whatever the land will support is what they could do. And then for minimum lot size, where on-site sewer disposal is used, again, wrote, lots may be any size so long as the lot can support on-site sewer disposal and all requirements are met, and all other requirements are met. Proof of on-site sewage disposal capability shall be demonstrated prior to subdivision approval, and non-buildable lots cannot be created through subdivision. For residential density, I wrote any number of dwelling units are allowed so long as all other requirements are met. For road frontage minimum, I wrote all lots must have owned road frontage on the street providing access to the lot. There is no minimum road frontage so long as a driveway permit is obtained. The driveway permit must be obtained prior to subdivision approval. And then I put in numbers which are highly debatable for setbacks and percentage coverage and, for the setbacks and the height and stuff like that. But those are what I put in for lot sizes, density and road frontage.
I apologize. I'm gonna have to run at 7:30, but I will catch up on YouTube for the rest of the
Okay.
discussion and
Yeah.
we'll be back next week.
next week.
Okay.
For another work
Yeah.
session.
So you don't have a proposed height there then?
Well, yeah, so I wrote in, so for setbacks, maybe. For the front, I wrote in 20. Well, I did EV downtown Route 4, I did 20, 10, and 20. For side and rear, I did 10, 5,
No,
10.
no, I just mean height.
Oh, for height, I wrote down, in Enfield Village, I wrote 40, downtown, I wrote 45, and Route 4, I wrote 50.
Yep.
Cause that kind of
Right,
matches what Tim's study did and
Yep.
what exists, but that's what I wrote, but I think those numbers are highly debatable in terms
Yeah.
of where those end up. But anyway, those upper ones were my attempt to make everything that's there today conforming. You can't create non-buildable lots. You
Yeah.
have to meet all requirements, and if you do, you can build what you want.
you can build what you want.
Yeah, I'm very supportive of that approach.
Yeah.
It's probably the most flexible set of zoning
Yeah.
that you could imagine, which is a good thing.
I think not creating non-buildable lots, there might be a couple of exceptions. One would be utility uses. They need a little tiny thing to put a transformer or something, you know.
Yeah,
I would,
Right,
yeah, and I would say some of that language, is more subdivision, regulation when you get to like the makeup or lot size than ordinance as far as just kind of your dimensional and the uses. So,
Right.
but good to note because those would need to be updated as well in the subdivision. So to the, whether they're conforming and what the kind of use of
Probably
their.
there.
So typically, I think you had read it about, like the building lots versus unbuildable lots, right? So that's a subdivision. Like if someone's coming in for a subdivision, it's gonna create no buildable lots. So that would fall under your subdivision regulations as far as what is required or needed to create a
as
lot.
opposed to the zone.
As opposed to the zoning ordinance is just saying what the laws are. So the law would be you need 15 feet. The law would be that
Right.
you need this. The subdivision is how do you get
How do
that?
You get it.
And so the subdivision regulation would say, how do you get a buildable or non-buildable lot?
So we'd have to define what is a non-buildable lot. And I'm assuming that would include things like wetlands, steep slope.
That's just what's on the lot.
That's that, yeah, and that would be a law or a rule. As far as if you're allowed, like if you're saying you're not allowed to build on a steep slope or a wetland, then that would be zoning ordinance because it would be a rule or a law you have to follow. How you follow that could go in the subdivision. Or site plan and then, yeah, but I think the buildable versus non-buildable, I don't know that you'd really see that in the zoning ordinance. I mean, if they're coming before with a subdivision proposal, I'd have to look into that a little bit more. Because it wouldn't be,
I mean, you can have,
Things going on, like the pumping station by the bridge, that has its own little lot.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
That's a,
Right.
it's like a utility.
Yeah,
Right.
Utilities and electric and phone and.
Well, let's say that needs
Yeah.
further research.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll look into that some more, but it's a good call. It's a good,
And
yeah.
actually,
make note of
another
it.
line that I had written in that's not in the tables that you handed out was I wrote in for consideration a maximum lot coverage inclusive of all structures, driveways, parking lots and other impermeable surfaces.
all impervious surface.
Right,
Right.
which would also place a physical limit on, on a practical level, place a physical limit on a lot size.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Uh,
And in the
If you
case
wanna
of
build a small house, you can have a smaller lot. You wanna build a big house, you
Right.
need a bigger lot.
Mhm.
Right?
In the case of the pump house, Linda, that's town property, so the town doesn't have to follow the ordinance. But it's like,
Communications.
Right,
house
the one
near the
next to-
police station.
right,
Well,
Yeah.
Eric, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
So, if you want, so I passed around
Yeah.
are the drafted edits. We can look at downtown maybe first, since we were just talking about that. And so I think that sometimes that I think in conversation in the last couple meetings with that, it's good to see what exists today, right? Like what's on the books now and what are you proposing? So
Right.
this is a strike through version. And so anything in red is what's new and been added. And you'll see on that first page with the uses, that is all straight from your table. And I added it in, I thought at first when we were going through it, like, should I just say reference table? But I think the idea here is to also get that really good visual of what you guys have worked on so far. And so like put a lot of effort into that table, but to really see it in practice and go, okay, this is all what we added. But in page 2 and 3 are the ones that either got replaced by your new ones in a way, or new wordings, or are completely struck. And you go, oh, wait a minute, this wasn't here before. We don't have it anymore. So,
I don't,
does that not?
no, this doesn't resonate with me. I think the table is the place to.
Oh,
make.
I fully agree, keep the table.
Well, no, I mean, even to look at what we
And to
had before, because we went through that exercise. In our table, we had a list of everything that was before.
Yep.
And then we went through the exercise of deciding what we wanted to allow.
Yep.
So if we're gonna revisit those
Mhm.
decisions, I think we should do it looking at the table.
Right, and I'm not saying you don't have to, you don't have to look at that tonight, I guess, but like if this is to be. Is a decision too that the board would need to look at is, do you want it written in each section of your zoning ordinance, or would you just want C table? C table, okay, so,
Well, I'm not speaking for the entire board.
but this, and I guess
I
this
think
also,
we were,
Right.
in favor of the table
Table.
Table or minute, yeah.
than each section.
Yeah.
It just as an easier, user-friendly means of being able to
Mhm.
compare one district to another,
What's allowed.
what's allowed, what's not allowed, et cetera.
So. Again, this had the minimum lot size in downtown. So we propose, kind of looked at it, half an acre, so it's interesting the way it's worded. So I guess maybe this gets, well, at your non-buildable lots in a way, or just creating a lot. Because your current language says minimum lot size shall be 1/2 acre except for dwellings. So what would half an acre, like a business? When the current zoning ordinance says except for dwellings.
Well, how about we just strike that language
Yep.
and just put the language we
Yep.
want to
Yep.
see, so it's clear.
Yep.
It is
It would just
confusing. In
be-
fact, the board was split 50-50
Mhm.
as to whether or not the ordinance even limited the number of units on a per acre basis in the R1 district. The way it's worded, it's, we couldn't come to a conclusion. Different board now, we might have a different opinion about that, but so just forget all that stuff, and we want the wording that
Right.
Should be there. Yep.
should be there.
So, so I think, in the downtown, so I think the board's like consensus too of not even limiting, if you're doing impervious, then we can certainly rewrite and edit that to be more of an impervious lot coverage size. And so there's no dimensional controls in the downtown, it would go by impervious.
Right.
And does the board have any, I mean, we have some parameters that we use, but are you guys familiar with others that you've seen and liked as far as like percentage of the lot? 50%,
Is that just
60%?
the number you,
No, I mean, I looked at you had sent us examples from, I forget which towns, and I sort of pulled from those examples. But I'm not sure that they're representative of what we have in place now in the different districts.
cause I'm thinking about like a 1/4 acre lot.
So what I did, and I don't have it with me, I wish I'd brought it, is I took 1/8 of an acre lot. And just, said, okay, that's roughly 50 by 100.
Yeah.
If somebody could have I guess I wrote down, 40% for Enfield Village, what could they do?
Mhm.
And you could fit a driveway, a 24 by 24 garage, and it was roughly like a 1,200 square foot house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or something, with walkways, and it was something on that range, which is, to me, and that was at 40% coverage, to me is a perfectly reasonable thing. Right in, what we're calling the, sort of the on water and sewer Enfield Village area. And then obviously like where Dan lives, that you could not do that because you wouldn't be able to fit a septic in a well.
Put the septic in there.
Well, you have water though, right? You wouldn't be able to fit the septic in, right? So like where Dan lives, your lots would have to be bigger because of that requirement.
Right.
And then, so I just made a few examples for myself to show like that worked.
Mhm.
And still had like a little garden, still had 50, more than 50% non-impervious and,
Maybe if you shared those
yeah.
drawings.
Can you send
Yeah,
those to
I
me?
can find them. They're in one of my sketch notebooks.
And I think
Engineering
so.
notebooks, actually.
I think what I'm hearing too today, and I think I'll take us back to the team and we'll work up some larger scale drawings of that. I'm hearing impervious coverage for downtown and also lot soil size, depending if water sewer is available. So
Yeah.
I think we can,
So for the downtown,
Word it, but-
water and sewer are available.
on every lot there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it'd just be impervious lot coverage, pervious for downtown, and then, for Enfield Village, we can get to that, but potentially, looking at impervious and soil density size, when we get to the Enfield Village section. I know
Village is greater downtown.
it is great, yeah, it's
Yeah.
great, it's more neighborhood focused, from the public forum and outreach and conversations. The board, I think half acre lots certainly have come up if no water sewer in that Enfield Village, because there's currently existing half acre lots within that region, so
I mean, even there,
multi-unit.
I think what I wrote would apply.
Mhm.
There's no required lot size as long as you can prove that you've got adequate septic
Soil density.
and you've got adequate, access to the lot, and you meet all the height requirements, you meet all the setbacks, then your lot can be whatever size makes sense.
Yeah,
whatever
What about
size you
that
want.
frontage?
Right.
So for frontage, what I wrote that was that lots must have owned road frontage on the street providing access to the lot. There's no minimum road frontage so long as a driveway permit is obtained, and the driveway permit must be obtained before subdivision is approved. So no minimum requirement, but you have to own the road frontage, which again puts a limitation on what you can actually do.
So the road, the driveway, width
Mhm.
and room for shoulders, maintenance, snow, removal, that sort of thing that you own.
Yeah.
There must be, like a minimum that,
I'm sure there is, but I don't know what that is, which is part of why you have to get the driveway permit before the subdivision. Cause that'd be a town
Right.
or state, depending on who issues the driveway permit.
Mhm.
Isn't it currently 50-foot road frontage?
Well, it depends on where. Well,
Depends
I
on-
mean, currently it's all R1, but,
Right,
Enfield Village, R1 is 75 feet
75 feet,
for reference.
right?
but we can,
Frontage.
all that's supposedly changing, but I got two quick questions before we move on. On the impervious surface. I was gonna say,
That's based on the soil.
well, no,
Well, no,
It's, coverage, right?
Coverage,
So
just
if you
coverage.
have
I mean, anything that's not impervious is,
house,
it's the. That's my train of thought.
deck,
then-
carport, house.
Yeah, but on the driveway permit, it's based on one of the issues, one of the requirements is sight distance, which is based on speed limits posted for that road.
Right.
So that's gonna change depending on what road
Correct,
you're on.
Right,
correct.
And that's okay.
Right.
it's okay,
but-
because
yeah.
you have to meet all other standards.
Right. Right.
And
So I'm
sight
saying-
distance is a standard,
Right, and if you can't do that, then you can't have that
then you
lot.
can't
Yeah.
have that lot,
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to give
right?
flexibility, but you have
Yeah.
to be safe, you have to, and yes, it's going to be a different And this way we don't have to anticipate every situation.
Mhm.
But if you can get the driveway permit
Yeah.
on Route 4, where this is gonna be the most restricted, because, then you're okay.
And so, you'd have to, let's say you had a back lot that you wanted to put a court of small houses on, or condos or something. You got side-by-side traffic that you gotta allow for, so that all of that would get through the site planning, or would be reviewed during the site planning process, right?
Correct.
And it probably would end up being in the 50 to 75 foot width.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
For the impervious service, but is that, if you have that requirement, you're also going to have setback requirements from abutting side lots,
Yes, I wrote some in, what did I?
because that's,
So for the front, for the front, I wrote in, similar to what we have now, 20 feet in the village and Route 4 and 10 feet downtown. And then for the side and rear, I wrote 10, 5 and 10. And I made a note, that perhaps like for the side lots and the rear, the fire code should probably determine the setback. And that may be a flexible way also, because if an existing building is 2 feet off the line, then you don't actually want, a 5-foot setback, because you're now only 7 feet.
Right.
The setback for the adjoining lot should now be 8 feet. And again, it's sort of within the village area, it's sort of this dynamic thing. And so if we somehow write in that, like, you have to meet the fire code, whatever that is, then existing buildings don't, you know that ahead of time when you do your side lot, your building next door.
And probably what would happen is if you wanna go 2 feet on your side as well,
Right.
you gotta sprinkle your building.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, something like that, but something that gives, the flexibility. But I think the fire code would really, because that's the safety issue with
right.
buildings.
Now, I was really getting at, with
Yeah.
a percentage of
Oh.
impervious surface only.
Yeah.
And everything else has to be open,
Mhm.
and then you have you can only build within the setback areas. Are you, are you end up creating non-buildable lots?
No, because you have to be able, because as I've written, non-buildable lots cannot be created through subdivision. So you
Right,
have to
but-
prove that you can build on it before you get an approved sub.
But we, by indirectly creating non-buildable, by having both setback requirements and a minimum impervious surface.
for
a
existing-
Minimum impervious
For
surface.
existing,
Right. For existing, it wouldn't,
I don't-
it'd be grandfathered into any.
well, existing,
potentially.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I'm just.
Locally, I don't think there's many
Think
lots.
through
I mean,
what that would look like on,
because like I said, an
On a
eighth
lot.
of an acre lot, you can do this.
Yeah.
And there's not many lots that are less than an eighth of it. There are some. In fact, somebody just built on a 1/10 of an acre lot on Flanders Street a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They were able to do that with
Okay.
a ZBA exception.
Variance.
What's that?
Variance.
With a variance, yeah, they got a variance and they built on a 1/10 of an acre lot on Flanders Street. So we could check, we might, but here's the thing, anything that can't meet this is already non-conforming. And this would
right,
make,
right,
the vast majority of
Oh,
everything in
yeah,
the
it's
village
just-
conforming.
yeah.
Like we'd really be down to just a couple of, if there are some, and I don't know if there would be.
Yeah.
There'd only be a couple of places that aren't. This would solve a lot of our, everything's non-conforming issue.
Right. Here's a question.
Yep.
And this is on subject, but a little off. Do we also get rid of the only one principal on a lot?
That was my other question.
Absolutely.
Because if
Yeah.
I want to make a courtyard.
Yep.
Type of a setup with cottages.
It would be a condominium conveyance.
So, no,
Wouldn't have to be.
Wouldn't have
so as I wrote it, here's how I would interpret that question. I'll just,
Yep, go
I'll
ahead.
answer your question. So,
Yeah,
so we put any number of dwelling units are allowed as long as you meet everything else.
right.
So, and then, again, the impervious surface would provide
Yeah.
the limit
Yeah.
on how much you can do, but there's no limit on the number of buildings.
Okay.
In here, there's no limit on, the impervious surface I wrote, just all structures, driveways, parking lots, and other impermeable surfaces, so
Right.
structures plural.
Okay. I'm just making sure we
Yeah.
don't forget to get rid of that.
Yeah,
But you
no,
can't only have one building
there's nothing here that
and you
mentions,
set everything up.
there's nothing here that mentions the number of buildings. As I've sort of
Yeah,
sketched it out.
Yeah,
Because you're right, we wanna make sure to allow, like, if
Yeah.
someone can do that, let's let them do it.
Yeah, that was one of our callouts too, was the principal dwelling
Yeah.
limitation, and then another one was, so with the new definitions of multifamily. Pull it up so I don't get this wrong. So in the new table of uses, you have now, dwelling single one unit, dwelling duplex, and also, by the way, did you, yeah, you printed these out. I think these are. You guys want these, right? Is this one of the ones that needs to go around? Okay, sorry. You guys can have that too if you want the table.
Oh, we've got,
Oh, you okay? You're that.
Yeah.
So, go back to that. So dwelling units proposed, now you have multi-unit 3 to 4, and you now have a 5 or more unit, which is new.
Yeah.
Which is good. But it made us think of too, the, technically, it's the New Hampshire statute for workforce housing. That definition in there for multifamily is 5 or more units. So just trying to like think of it with that lens on as well. You know, there is not currently a workforce housing ordinance that is in place. But the workforce housing statute does require that towns make sure that it is available and buildable in your town and community in a I don't want to say majority, but in a enough of an area within your town that it can happen.
Right.
So some towns have implemented workforce housing ordinances such as New London, and they designate, you know, they do an overlay and say in this hatched area is where any 5 or more is allowed.
Well, it
But
says right here in the table, we're allowing it in 4 districts.
yeah,
Right.
so that's new and that's good. I think one of the callouts was just that it, so that's gonna go to site plan as well and be referenced. Because anything currently over 3 or more, goes, so that would stay as well. The other thing with that was, I have the other note from family.
so we're not allowing it by right. by
It's
unit
special
in the village
exception.
district.
Correct, yeah, it's by special exception. So that was kind of a question. I mean, it is allowed, like you said, in the other 5
Well,
5 units or more.
I think what we prefer is if we could use the conditional use permit process, but we're shying away from that
Mhm,
because it's a little more complicated than we can
mhm.
chew on right now, right?
There is a bit more, yeah, layers to it. And I think you could still do it. It's just then you have to come up with what those parameters are. Would you just take the
Right.
special exception requirements and just copy them to conditional use? That's probably a way to do it.
Yeah.
It has to be, again, like that information I sent out last time. It just has to be a really thoughtful approach when you go to conditional use permit.
Yeah.
And how, you know, appeals can I mean, it's nicer because yes, it's coming to the planning board. But I think, you know, the appeal process and things like that can get a little
Right.
mucky, so. It
So-
is,
In the EV. Never mind.
and we're not
Log down.
saying, it was okay. We're not saying that it has to be in the EV, but I guess like. The. Not allowed in R5, it is allowed in R3. Which hits a little bit. It doesn't even hit the Route 4, but, yeah, and I guess the other thing too, like the EV kind of makes sense because you are buffering a little closer to the lake. And so you may not have the sewer lines, you may not have, you know, wanting that sewer size on that side. But yeah, I guess it was just kind of like a call out that, when talking about housing, the 5 or more, and I think it's good that it's being added in this draft and in this round, so. The other thing we had was the other thing in these drafts, that we have here, it's also combining, not only, it's kind of taking, because your current zoning ordinance also is chunked out, right? Like you have the sign ordinance down below that impacts all of them. So we've condensed it, and so that way it's called out, so you don't forget, because sometimes, a lot of times when we're updating zoning ordinances, it's like, oh, we forgot it was referenced down here on page, 101, and we did the first half. So tried to make sure that all references to the districts are in these as well. So special exceptions are in that second section, and then also like the sign. And that is something that we haven't talked a whole lot about with signs,
Well,
but we can leave it as is. That's just more
quick
down the
note,
road.
the
Yeah.
sign. So what I did is it took the sign section out of our existing ordinance,
Mhm,
copied it into the new format of the new ordinance,
mhm,
and did not touch it. Because the minute
mhm.
I started to, 2 hours later, I realized this thing is an absolute complete mess. And we don't have time to fool with it, so I think we just need to leave it alone. Deal with it next year.
Mhm. I think the signs can get very kind of in the weeds, and depending on, some of these uses, seeing how they pop up. A little bit more. It's definitely an easy lift
So
in the future to do, but
this, each of the districts, what we have there now, not now, but in the new format, it just says shall comply with the sign section of whatever
Yeah.
number it is, right?
Mhm.
Then you go there, and that's what.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're in good.
that should be good. I think the biggest takeaway that I think we'll focus in on next is the impervious coverage. Because it seems like that's really the route that we want to go as far as lot size.
Yeah, we need a really good definition for impervious
Mhm.
surface.
And I will say it is seeing towns who have it, listing out what is considered impervious, is also needed. And again, we can pull from a couple of towns that we know, but, and we will probably, I would recommend as well that in the designated impervious, so sometimes what comes up is like the impervious brick, right? The impervious, there's maintenance that needs to be done to that. So I would caution, and we would recommend adding in language that a maintenance plan also be put in place if you're proposing an impervious, kind of
Like
structure use.
Like if you want to put a pervious driveway in.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they do make such a.
Yeah, the pervious driveway, the brick layers, the things of it, some of those I know like need like routine vacuuming maintenance that's come up in other towns. And so then it's a matter of, okay, how do we ensure that the maintenance is happening, especially for lakefront properties? This is another town with lakefront. So not that these really touch too much, but a little bit in the EV there. And maybe something to consider when you're looking more at your lakefront zoning going forward, but
Yeah, and
that'd be another one.
like for an example,
Mhm.
I had to do a wetlands permit for some work at Cardigan a couple of years ago, and surprisingly, they treat a hard packed gravel driveway as a impervious surface.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 It
Yeah.
doesn't, it
It
sheds,
just gets compacted. That's what I'm, because you're driving on it all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
there are newer, I was at a kind of training conference a year and a half or so ago, a year ago, and there was a architect who does a lot of work, landscape design in lake, towns, lakefront towns, and used, had a bit up on more of that impervious structure for driveways. And there are some stuff out there that he kind of equated it to like rice, the Rice Krispie treats.
Right.
And so it kind of has that filter through, but again, I'd be cautious with just making sure that maintenance is also met.
Yeah, and I think
So.
because those are really expensive to install,
Yeah,
most of our property owners are probably
I'm
gonna
not gonna.
just take the.
Yep.
The pervious percentage.
Yeah.
Work with
And
it.
work with it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Mhm.
I think it makes sense then to make it very, not difficult, but that you do have to have a maintenance plan and
Mhm.
I don't know, you give a
Yeah.
report to the town every 3 years or
Right.
whatever.
Right. It can sometimes be paperwork, but
It's definitely worth considering. I think I'd rather take just a cut and dry approach. You get this percentage and
Right.
all of these things count.
Mhm.
Because in the end, that's all we can really review at site plan. I think it's impractical to check if people
Right.
are maintaining it and, after the house is sold 3 different times and the fourth
Right.
owner doesn't maintain it,
Agreed.
what you can
Right,
do?
right. But most of those, because of the expense of putting it in, it's usually a commercial
Right.
Right,
Right.
but I,
property that's even considering it.
but I
People
think
don't even consider doing it.
I think if we look at some examples, we'll see that you can count all, structures, driveways, the parking lots, the walkways,
Mhm.
and just find a percentage that allows a reasonable development of small lots. And I think as I'm going, I'd rather just be sort of here's the
Yeah.
rule. It's,
Yeah.
it's clean, it's cut and dry. Either your driveway counts or it doesn't. We just
Right.
make
Yeah.
that decision.
Right.
So, question for you. Why are we having this impervious percentage? Is it a governing factor on the build out of a lot, or is it? And I think it may be
Yeah.
it's also an issue for stormwater runoff.
I think it's both, and it also, to some extent, provides the governing needed to sort of keep the village the way people like it now.
Mhm.
Right, this is sort of what we have now, right, and so somebody can't just, pave to their lot line. If they want to, so yeah, I think it's stormwater management, I think it's sort of keeping with how things are today. Allowing reasonable stuff, it provides scale limits. Like, the height is, when we get to discussing that, that's another one, like you can have a small lot, but you can't build too tall. So I think it's around the scale and the stormwater management is one, and I'll use my lot as an example,
Right.
I have a stream behind it and, should I be able to, put a tennis court back there? Probably not. Because it would just, go straight into the stream.
Unless you did some stormwater treatments.
Yeah, but again, I think from
That's not a,
like,
Right.
keep the zoning simple. If somebody wants to do that, then go get an exception. And get a special
Mhm.
exception and let that, because that's gonna be an oddball case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I try to think of all those, just keep
Well,
it simple.
I mean, there's gonna be a lot of oddball
Yeah.
cases.
Right. But if we keep it simple, if you can,
Right.
40,
Exactly.
50%, whatever I think we need some look into what
Yeah.
sort of the right number is. I know I did some looking to pick the numbers I put, but I'm not like wed to the numbers I wrote down.
We'll take a look at that. I think that's really good information. I think that, thinking of it too, like a parameter, do we have the requirement and then maybe a 10% parameter above for special exception, just to let folks,
Yeah.
because my one question was,
Yeah,
do you think that like in the Enfield Village, for example, that there might be pushback from folks to be like, I just want to put a chicken coop up, or I just want to put like, my shed, but that technically would count towards their
Yeah.
percentage.
Yep.
So maybe giving some wiggle room with a special exception to go a little bit higher if needed and what that is.
again, sort of related, I wrote special exceptions for some, like on downtown, a special exception for height. Like you go a little higher with a special exception or something for the
Right.
right downtown area.
You can go another story.
Yeah, or something, so no, I think like considering special exceptions for those is a good idea. But yes, certainly if somebody wants to build it out, the way I wrote it, and then they want to add a shed, that shed counts towards your impervious surface.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Okay.
Just, got me thinking, that's gonna fall on the building inspector.
Yeah.
Cause all this will be after the facts.
Right.
Yeah.
But the nice part is we have a very clear enforcement mechanism.
Right.
Right, whereas if we say you gotta maintain it, we have no
Right, I'm just,
enforcement mechanism. Yeah, no,
a pre-existing house, and then he wants to put up a garage or a shed or
right,
something like that.
right, they'll have
They'll
to,
have to get a building permit.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's over a
That's right.
certain size.
Yep.
Right.
And then he has to measure the lot size, the house, what's pre-existing.
Right.
You'd probably get pretty good at just looking at it. He
Yeah.
can see, you're good here. If it's small lot, we better measure.
Yeah,
We're
but
back
back up
to-
that issue.
Yeah.
We're
It
also
would be
back to
another
2 or 3
layer.
lots a year,
yeah. I
and
mean,
it's gonna become an
Mhm.
issue.
And I think,
It's not like every lot that happens.
yeah, I think another thing to think of too is so like a lot, like, some of the mentioning too is like, you know, at site plan this to be looked at, but in some cases like that, if they're
Yeah.
adding on or they're doing something like that, it would just be the zoning, right, the building permit and the check boxes. So
Yeah.
making sure that that is looked at as well in the
Yeah.
big picture of like, what is, you know, what do we need to make sure to put into place that it can be executed?
There was a phrase, a paragraph about, can't find it right off the bat, but I think it was in the R3. He was talking about, the average front setback of whatever and, you know,
I saw some, I didn't see front, I
Yeah.
saw side setback average, an averaging of side.
okay,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
I like that concept. So
Yeah.
say you go down Main Street, past Oak Grove, you're heading to the lake. You got houses there, they've sort of established a common setback down there.
Yeah.
And what you probably don't want is someone to then yank their house all the way to the front of the lot and just have this oddball,
Right.
you know, thing plopped out there. That's maybe just an aesthetic thing, but if the front setback was based on the average setback on the street, then it would be very flexible, and if it happens to be a bunch of houses that are close to the street, then okay, great. But, I mean, is that
So that-
workable?
Yeah, so it's going to a form-based coding, which you have a bit of in Route 4. So it's kind of looking, form-based coding looks at what existing conditions are on the ground today. And if you're gonna build new or you're gonna amend something into your current structure, what relief you get from that or what exists. So yeah, I mean, I think that is something, I think, you know, we can look at some of the other ones. I think there just needs to be kind of that parameter of like what that radius is of around them. I think, you know, like, is it 3 houses along either side, 4 houses along either side? Like what constitutes, I think in Enfield, in the EV district, it would be fairly easy to make that. But I think that's I think worthwhile. And I think that was a kind of a call out from the team as well, was that, yeah, the side setbacks and having that flexibility is a good thing.
Mhm.
And let's not like remove that too much, because when we're looking at side setbacks, you know, you see a lot of the standard, but it is nice to have the like, well, what exists currently? Because again, when you're in the historic district, you're gonna have some of those older homes that are pre-existing. And so, and you know, they're allowed, if they're gonna tear down and rebuild, to rebuild in their same footprint too. So why not just allow that on any new lots potentially in the district? So I think front setback can also be based on a parameter average. So I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, draft up some language and try it out on us.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that in your draft thing, and one of my questions on that was, you have to define how far from center on either side are you gonna measure to get your average?
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, is it by house, by
Yeah.
footage?
Yeah.
You can't just say, I mean, it's just one house to the next house, okay, but then
Right.
that's what it is, but you have to define where the measurement starts and stops.
Mhm.
Almost say
Like the whole street, because none of our streets are.
Yeah, did you do Main Street?
Hmm?
From one house? All of Main Street from one house?
So Main Street is so different depending on what
Right.
part of Main Street you're looking
Right,
at.
that's right.
Right,
Yeah, so that's why you need,
You need a defined radius or, you know, so many houses either side
right,
or
right, you need an
so
end
many
spot.
feet, whatever.
You need some kind of end spot.
Yeah.
So,
My other question on this is, Main Street, considering that and a lot of businesses. How do you feel that the pervious requirement impacting businesses or size of those buildings with their lot size? If you were to have, because I know we're typically talking more dwelling units and housing. So just want to be aware that this is like a large commercial component too in here.
So,
Or not large, but in a chunk of it.
So Eric, were you thinking that the downtown area would have the exact same wording as the
Well, for the impervious surface, I wrote in different numbers for the EV, the downtown and Route 4.
Okay.
So I wrote down a higher number downtown than in the other two.
EV?
And again, I don't know, I wrote down 60%. I don't know if that's the right number. I took that, I don't remember where I grabbed it from, but most of those are already built out.
No, that's it,
So they're already gonna be grandfathered in, so it almost doesn't matter what we put in.
right.
Because if anybody expands those, they're gonna be expanding over their parking lot. Which is
Right.
also an impervious surface.
Right.
Yeah,
Somehow. So I don't have the answer. I mean, I think
We can look into it some more. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure
Yeah, the only
what your
new
all's thought of. with
in
the
that
commercial.
district is going to be down by Oak Grove and past.
right, and then I think we should pick what we
That's
want for the future, and then
pretty much
the existing stuff is.
thrown out
grandfathered in.
too.
Yeah, because I'm not sure we can,
Right,
I'm not sure we'll get it right if we try to,
yeah,
Okay.
but it's a good thing to think about. I don't know. I wrote, like I said, I wrote down 60% for downtown.
right.
But I don't know if that's representative of that. Certainly for George's, that's not representative. They're much higher than that.
oh,
Right.
that whole general
That whole
area.
thing.
Right.
All the
I
way,
mean, I suggest we just, for the downtown area, you just delete that requirements. Because
Yep.
we don't have it now, so it's,
oh, I know
If
you
we do
don't.
that,
so,
if we do that, is there a lot you can think of where we might regret it?
Yep,
Where's that name?
SD Lane,
No, that's not downtown.
That's not downtown.
that's not in the, oh, that's in the EV.
Yeah.
okay, here's a scenario, not necessarily a very pleasant one to contemplate, but I'll play devil's advocate. Let's say that everything between 56 Main and George's burns down in a big fire.
We have an emergency meeting.
What's step two? Let's let David tell us step two.
So step two is some of the owners are interested in rebuilding.
Yep.
And some aren't, and they would love to sell their property to the owners that want to rebuild. So your new owner comes to us and says, we want to do a lot merger and have one big lot rather than three little ones. And what are our parameters that we have to work in when we are designing our new townhouses, single-family residences, multifamily,
Multi-use?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, that's a good.
Yeah.
you know, and let's say that that is a real possibility, given the age of those buildings and their construction, and I don't think any of them are sprinklered, are they?
I know Copeland isn't,
Copeland is,
Copeland is not, I don't believe, is it?
it is sprinklered.
Oh, okay,
but it's the other ones.
It's George's and it's.
George's
the
and
apartment
the
house.
apartments in
Well,
between that I don't think are.
I don't
Right.
follow where you're going there, because they would just build to whatever the zoning ordinance allows.
Right, and that's what we have.
But we haven't defined it.
We haven't defined pervious surface. So they can go on 100% of the property because that's where it is now.
Right,
Well, that's it.
yeah, I mean, that's what it is now.
Right,
Well, wouldn't it be
Now,
nice
if you wanted, now you still have your 50-foot setback from the river.
right.
You have certain setbacks
Yeah.
from the roads.
well, right now, the setback from the road is 0.
Well, that's because they're non-conforming.
Right.
New
So,
ones-
Right, but whatever the regs say the setback from the road is, now, if you're referring to just impervious surface.
Right.
Then, yeah, they have to meet whatever, dig up the pavement and put it.
right,
And,
Right.
and wouldn't it be nice to have some green space? Rather than all parking lots and buildings?
So the 60% would,
Right.
Yeah.
Would use
The
the
60% would kick in,
would kick in,
if that's the number, that's,
unless they're building on the same footprint.
right,
But then they wouldn't merge the lots.
right.
So in David's
That's right, they
scenario,
wouldn't merge the
if
lots.
they've merged the lots, they're
right,
not going to build with the same footprints.
Right.
I think that's a fair assumption.
but you were saying on the downtown or suggested that we don't have the impervious number.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, the more likely scenario would be one of the homes that's, up toward Route 4 on Main Street is taken down. Someone puts a business in there.
Yep.
Parking's important and they're gonna wanna, you could picture someone almost using the entire lot for parking. For some kind of business.
Right.
And 60% might be fine.
Yeah,
It's possible that it would constrain the business and he couldn't do what he wanted, but I don't know, we just can't. We gotta have a number somewhere.
right,
Yeah,
And for those corner cases, that's what special exceptions are for.
Right.
And we want to have very few of those cases.
Yeah.
But,
Mhm.
but we're not going to have 0.
right. I agree.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have 0, and the 60% probably works.
are we agreed on 60 as the number?
and it's,
I think we should let,
We
I think we should let
we
them
can
do
do
some research, but
Okay.
But we can, I mean,
Yeah.
but that helps know which
Yeah.
direction we
Okay.
want, like lot
Yeah.
sizing and
Makes sense.
coverage.
Yeah.
it's based on.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Use,
Yeah.
what, there's
Yeah,
a reasonable percentage
Percentage.
coverage, yeah.
yep, no, that's helpful.
What else you got for us?
Another one I got is, we noticed that in the Enfield Village, or R1 turning into Enfield Village, but, there was a use in there that is not currently on the new table of uses. And wanted to ask what you all wanted to do with that, or if we wanted to add it in. So it is it is non-commercial outdoor recreational activities such as hunting, fishing, hiking, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, and sailing groups.
Well, we do have.
So you,
Wait, tell me. where
Didn't
you're
we, didn't we
we-
figure that there was no room for that in EV?
so it's more like. It's interesting because this has come up in another town or two as well, is trails. And if trails are not listed in a zoning ordinance, then some towns are viewing it, or some folks are questioning if it's an allowed use then.
Well, how about we do this?
But, so some of these are more trail related activities, so I just didn't know if you wanted
So
to
we have-
soft pitch something.
Tell me where you're looking at that.
Yep, so in the Enfield Village on page 3. About 3/4 of the way down under W is a highlighted section. And this is in the existing R1 right now. Non-commercial outdoor recreational activities.
Yep.
And I have a little line there, it's comment,
Mhm.
noting that it's currently.
Yeah, so what we have.
Yeah.
In the table,
Mhm.
page 3. About 2/3 of the way down to the bottom, says recreational facility outdoor.
Yep.
And we have a recreational facility indoor, separate use. Anyway, we're saying no in the EV, no in the EVD, and we have to make a decision about EV4.
Right,
the definition is directly under it there. And the definition could say something to the effect, trails are not considered to be a regulated use or something like that.
Trails for non-motorized.
Yeah. You have to be careful how we worded it, but
Right.
Yeah, it never occurred to me that trails would be a zoning.
It hasn't, it hasn't for us either sometimes, for myself. So New London had a, petition zoning amendment go to them 2 years ago now, maybe. It was petitioned by some folks that are using trails and are, I think, maybe extending or creating trail. And all of a sudden it was like, this isn't in our ordinance, so it's not allowed. That's weird. Let's put one through. And so it's kind of an oddball. I would be curious to get some more feedback from the town side of things. And it did go through and it did pass. So it's in their ordinance now at trails use and that type of stuff. And now it's come up in another town in Wilmette as well, noticing that they don't allow trails in their zoning ordinance. And it's like, and someone was looking at extending a trail. And so it is a land use. So there's some more kind of investigative stuff that we're doing behind the scenes to try to look at how best it is. I mean, I think in New Hampshire, it's just a very common thing that we have. And we're like, yeah, it's allowed to have a trail. But noting that,
I mean, the idea that
But
like,
it's that case.
that I can't walk the same path in my yard
yeah,
is kind of.
no, I know.
I mean, I have a path in my yard that I walk every day,
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
which is
No.
no different than a trail.
right.
So
I mean, I think,
if we
yeah,
have to add it, we should. But it seems absurd that we would have to.
I think we can just take care of it in the
Yeah,
definition.
that's fine.
A lot of trails are over private land.
correct.
And in theory, you need the landowner's permission or whether they've posted it
Mhm.
for permission.
I think it goes to, like, again, if someone's extending a trail
Right.
and they're going in and they're forestering, they're creating something, it's a use of the land. And again, this is a new kind of thing
Right.
for us. I don't know.
I'm gonna connect
It's
on
come up.
to another trail from my trail,
So people
but
can
it's a
do
new
horseback
trail
riding.
and zoning
Zoning.
says I can't do it because it's not
Well,
there.
like there's been a long sort of standing proposal for a river walk.
Right.
Behind George's and
Yeah.
those properties. That would be sort of an example.
Yeah.
Mhm. So it's an interesting, and I don't mean to like open a can of worms, but it's
Right.
come up in a couple other towns and I just want to
Yeah.
raise it as well.
Yeah.
And so when we saw this and I was like, oh, like cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, fishing, hiking, a lot of those again happen on trails. And so we just want to make sure it's encompassed while we're changing things.
So we're gonna leave that wording in the
Mhm.
R1. We're not gonna touch that.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah, we're not touching R1.
Right.
As,
But-
as bad as it's worded, we're gonna just leave it. for
Yep.
now. And,
But just kind of looking at the Enfield Village, how do you want to, but again, yeah, if you update the uses there, then that should take care of it in the table.
Yep.
Cause that's,
If we need to be explicit, let's just put a non-motorized trail thing and allow them everywhere.
but you don't, actually in your table though, you don't allow, you're listing it as not allowed in R1 for recreation facility outdoor.
But we were not considering trails when we.
Right. We were
Right,
trails at the time.
True, that's true. Cause it does say facility.
It says facility.
Yeah.
So it's fitness trails, mountain bike trails, ski slopes and trails.
yeah, and I think the aim here was to identify those intense kind of uses where
Mhm.
not just a hiking trail.
Right. Again, I think like one that we've seen is again, going to motorized versus non-motorized use. And obviously motorized trails is a whole other kind of ball of wax that you can get into.
Yeah,
sometimes,
that
but-
definition needs some work.
Yeah.
That's why the,
Because there's a number of people who, border the rail trail who have trails on their property that access. the
Yeah.
rail trail.
Yeah.
And so we should allow trails.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the trails, the trails in here.
Right.
Relates to the ski slope.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
But certainly there are.
Because that's
folks
where the
who-
comma is.
Again, not to open like a can of, but it's just kind of an interesting
Well,
phenomenon that we are seeing.
There's fitness trails and mountain bike trails.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, but the bigger problem there is after hockey rinks, et cetera.
Mm,
Cause et cetera can be anything. Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
opened.
and remember,
So
this
trail is there.
yeah, remember, this is commercial.
Yeah,
outdoor.
But does it,
Right,
doesn't
that
say
too.
that.
right,
It is.
yeah,
It's in the overall header
it's in the header,
of commercial.
it's in the commercial.
So I guess that's what I was thinking too, more the private.
Page, yeah, the page before. It starts on page 2, and they're all commercials after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
But since you didn't notice that, that's a
Right.
formatting.
Yeah, that is a formatting issue. Yeah.
that is.
Figure out how to handle
Format every
Yeah.
page.
larger, bolder type.
No, I didn't read from. the
Color
beginning.
coded or something.
Right,
Mhm. And the color to color key.
that's because she had us turn to page 3, we didn't look at page 2.
Dan, you're getting punchy. And it's not even eight
Say
thirty.
25.
So I think that's the bulk of it. I think we have some really good, this has helped a lot, kind of frame a little bit
Orders.
more for the marching orders for the size. And then a couple things that I guess, I'll look at the table again. Some of the like essential public utilities and things like that being called out. Did that end up getting pulled from the table? Yeah,
No.
no, it's in there.
It's
Okay,
in there.
okay,
We just have no control over most of it.
okay. Right. I think that was the bulk of it.
I got
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
one thing that caught my eye, I remember. The, right below your recreation outdoor thing we're talking about, recreational aircraft facility.
Paul and I are working on that.
Well,
Yep.
Don't dwell on it.
you gotta put something in the others, big, there's an RSA that says, if the town is silent on anything that's aircraft, it's permitted.
It's permitted. The permitted
In,
use,
in that zone.
Mhm.
right.
So if you just don't say anything, it's permitted by default.
That's right.
Would you want
So,
that 7?
so you have to say no if you don't want it.
Logan Airport.
I can put a recreational right on the rail trail.
So Paul's working on the heliport on your roof.
You could,
But you play with the RSA.
right?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I wasn't until you just
Yeah,
mentioned it.
yeah.
Yeah,
We're working.
Mhm.
yeah, that's true. So you could put a heliport on the Copeland block.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let me ask
Yeah.
a formatting question here. So the reason I put the definitions below the use on this new version is because we'd have, it just wouldn't fit in the zoning ordinance. It just, the page is too wide, you'd end up with a flip out. So I said, wonder what this would look like if I put the definition below each of, and so that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, the definition, say page 1, dwelling unit, dwelling single, 1 unit, and so forth. I'm kind of leaning towards suggesting we keep that definition there, even in the table that's published in the
Keep what in there?
ordinance.
Keep the explanations here.
I like this, because then you don't need,
Right,
Right,
you
you're not
don't need
looking,
to repeat yourself later.
that's right. It acts as the narrative.
Right,
Yeah.
this is very readable.
right, yeah.
I mean, sure, there's some minor tweaks, whatever. It's very readable, it's very usable. It's a single, what
Right.
do we have? 9 pages that basically is the only 9 pages that someone in town is gonna need. Sure, there's gonna be a section on signs later, but they'll, the basics of, can I do what I'm thinking about doing? They just find the spot
Yep.
in the table. And then, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff behind it, but you've got essentially a 9-page
Right.
replacement for 50 pages
Right.
in our existing ordinance. I think it's great.
Now, we would still
We still-
also have a definition section in the back of the.
Right, you have to.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of all those other definitions.
Yeah, but, and including these,
Well, that's the question. Do we put it in twice or do we put it in once? So we make sure if we change it.
put it in twice.
What you just said, these are what?
This here, these things
The
that are
explanations
underneath.
under each of the, and under each of these
Oh,
uses.
Ice,
I
I,
think you,
need-
like that because you're only changing it once.
Yeah.
No, you take the same wording, but it's just, okay, you add a couple of pages to your documents. But if it's listed under definitions, when you go to court, they say, what are your definition? It's here, title, definition, this dwelling unit is, this.
Well, Kurt, couldn't you also title this the land use
Table and
and
definitions.
definitions table?
I mean, like right here where it says land use and definitions.
Yes,
Yeah, right there.
right there.
We can make that bigger.
We need to have one place, because in 10 years,
Right.
after 5 changes, right, one of our big problems now is things are not consistent.
Right.
Yeah,
One place.
However,
agreed.
However, Jim,
the definition section
that
in
needs
the
to be a
back
bigger
would
font.
include all of those things that weren't here, like the
I couldn't see it without my reading glasses.
setback, what does that mean, and so forth,
Yeah, that would go in the
in the
the
back.
definitions thing in the back.
Right.
Then I would just title that section definitions X or something like that. Just.
Yeah.
Just for,
And
just
within-
to satisfy the court.
and you could include a line within the definitions at the back of land use definitions are defined in the table.
Yes.
Yeah,
In the
Yeah,
land
because-
use definitions table. You
I'm
put
just
that
thinking of
line,
a smart
make it even
lawyer
more clear.
arguing and the judge saying, yeah,
That's an
exhibit
oxymoron.
please. Yeah,
smart lawyer.
yeah,
I think that's a good, and I think maybe that's a good question to
Yeah.
put in red for legal when they review it, is to make sure that it's okay in the table. I agree. I think in the table, it's clear and concise,
Linda's got a good
but the
question.
appendix A, yeah.
I think there's one more thing that could use definition. And that is, we know what EV, EVD, R1, R3, R5,
Yeah.
CI, CO are. But the person you Rob hands this to, may not. So I think there should, at least on the first page,
yeah.
be a
Yeah.
little box down at the
Yeah.
bottom that explains them,
And,
a key.
You
and,
might have to want to key on
And
every
then it would
page.
make 5 pages, which would be 5 pieces of paper on
presumably the
Make it
page directly before this is
easier.
gonna be
cheaper.
Right.
our map.
Exactly.
Question on that map, is that the R1? You guys decided R1 is gonna be on that lower right-hand side?
No, that's not.
No,
No.
No, that's an early version.
That's an early version.
Okay.
The map, we're gonna, yeah,
Make sure the public doesn't see that.
right.
That's R3, right?
A lot of it is.
Well, right now it's 3, 5,
3 and 5 is there.
depending on where the lines.
So what you're saying, that R1 is below the bend in the Mascoma River? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, where it's labeled R1,
That's not R1, really.
not now.
What is it now?
I think it is R1.
No, it is not
Well, you
now.
can look at
It's
it.
R1,
No.
it's R1 to the left of the river. It's R3 to the right of the river, and then it gets into R5.
Right,
I'm in R5 on Ivy Road.
right.
David's, where he lives, is in R3.
But you're not saying Ivy Road, on that map.
No, but
You
where it says
basically left it
R1
open.
below the Oxbow, that is R3.
Right.
happened to that other now. No, what happened to?
It's,
the-
Ivy's off of Crystal.
no, I know, but on the map that's sitting here with the,
Kurt's correct. It should be labeled correctly,
Right,
which is,
before the public sees it.
which is what we can make that correction.
Are any of these descriptions tied to an RSA? If they are, probably including the RSA number,
They're not really,
they're not.
all ADUs are, for one, manufactured housing is.
Yeah, but we have our own, our ADU definition. We have a section in the ordinance that talks about ADU.
Right.
Very specific, I didn't change anything. That's the current thing. And that lists the RSA's.
Okay.
But there are not many of these definitions that manufactured housing is one. Where
It's on the first point, and you referenced the RSA.
right.
although I'm not really happy with that, I almost think we should. Anyway, that's debatable.
Did you want to talk about, nursing homes and recovery homes and that kind of stuff tonight, or?
Well, I think we need to research that and bring the board back a list of what we think we ought to have? Or you, it's up to you.
Um,
Some of us are getting older and you need to hurry.
So the problem was, let's see, that's on page,
one,
Five.
no, five?
five. They're in blue. So, and just above it says homeless shelter, homeless services center, transitional housing, you can skip over hospital, and then managed care, assisted living facility or nursing home. Well, I could not find good definitions for these. And Dave seemed to know quite a bit more about that than the rest of us, so I asked him if he could look into, you know, how should we categorize?
I think it's pretty simple because the state has done a lot of this work for us, although they really haven't told us about it. What the state says, and there is Supreme Court decision on it. Any healthcare type facility, transitional housing, nursing home, anything that receives state or federal funding is treated as state property, which means they can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
They can put it anywhere. It's been in statute for a while. And the definition is being spelled out a little bit more, as are the relationship with the town and the town planning board. And what I managed to get into the bill that NHMA asked me to put forth was a mandatory public hearing with, before the planning board or the select board, with an advisory opinion, not binding, but at least it gets everything out in public. And the town gives an opinion of whether the plan is good, bad, or indifferent. And that's the way the courts have interpreted that kind of thing. So if it boils down to non-licensed or certified, non-publicly funded facilities.
So we could just,
I mean, it's gonna be pretty easy, I think.
okay, maybe, I was gonna say, maybe we just leave this out, because it's not really in our existing ordinance. There is a section on home, no, there isn't. Like, you look at homeless shelter or homeless services. We in our board said no EV, special exception EVD, and we're gonna allow it in EV4. The reason there's no's in the rest of the districts is because it's not addressed in the existing zoning districts.
Right.
So we could leave that out entirely. Transitional housing, managed care, we just leave all that stuff out and deal with it next year if you want. It's not an issue that comes up often.
Right. If we leave it out, then anybody coming in would have to get a variance anyways to do it.
Well, they would follow under what
No,
David said.
If it was state funded or the residents had state funding,
Okay, Yep.
then, or federal.
Or federal
You know,
funding,
it
which
could be
means anybody who's
Medicare,
not
Medicaid.
Medicare, Medicaid,
But what if it doesn't? What if it's, for example, church owned?
That's
That's what this
That's-
was pertaining.
That's,
Right.
that's the issue.
Right.
And there's that whole Hanover statute from a
That's what
couple
I'm
of years
thinking.
ago, where religious facilities
Right.
are subject to minimal
Right.
zoning
Right.
restrictions. So I think we ought to have something in there and specify where the private / religious / non government-funded facilities might be allowed, and off the top of my head, I might suggest R4 by special well, we can't go by special
We haven't got an
exception.
R4.
Uh,
We'll put it in the R4.
EV4, I'm sorry.
Well, again, I don't think, I wouldn't have any problem just leaving these sections out. Deal with it next year when we can really get our hands around it. We have time to think about it. It's also a topic that liable to generate a lot of community, neighborhood kind of,
Right.
you know.
I mean, if it's not in and out, it's just, you're making more work for ourselves.
Yeah,
When we barely got through the work we already know we have to do.
Yeah, and you're right, we're opening a can of worms.
I told you this would be simple to solve.
You open the can.
Do not open the can.
Yeah, yeah.
Kick it down the road.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, I agree.
yeah.
You know,
I think it's in the future. I think it's in the near future. I think we're gonna see it. And they're arguing about right now in Lebanon. About what to do with that homeless shelter at the entrance to Alspec Day. I just don't see that there's not a lot of road to kick it down to is what I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
I agree. And I also agree with Tim that this is a topic that's gonna require some time and probably even some input from the townspeople. And we just don't have that time on the schedule that's gonna put this before the voters in March.
Right.
So let's
Yeah.
kick it down the road.
Okay.
Anything else, Tim?
let's see. Home-based businesses, nice to come to some conclusions there. We did spend some time on that meeting before. We have a copy of that.
Yeah.
Is everybody good going till 9 o'clock and then we stop?
So, one option here would be to just leave the existing home-based businesses wording as is and put that right in the new ordinance and deal with it later. Or, try to deal with it now. And that's, the black is the now, blue is just leave it and deal with it later.
Has the currently wording been problematic for you?
Not too much. Nope.
You can work with what's there.
We have been working. Yeah.
Right.
I just would to save ourselves a lot of aggravation.
I'm fine with that.
That's two things to kick down the road.
You know, if it's not,
Should we go
right.
for three?
I mean, there's not much kicking on that.
No, I know.
You get to revisit everything next year.
Well, no, it's
Yeah, but if it's not raising an issue, you're not running into problems with how it's worded. And people just can't work with it, then. You know, that would be, if there was a bunch of issues like the, then, yeah,
Hasn't been.
Yeah. yeah.
Let's see, we didn't, just looking for the ones maybe we haven't made it, reached a decision on. We did, let's start from the beginning. Why have I got manufactured housing park in yellow on page 1 down at the bottom? I don't think we came up with a final decision on our new districts.
Dave, we have 3 sets of minutes that we haven't approved, and doesn't Elisa want them
Okay.
pretty fast after?
Well, the statute is draft minutes must be available
Oh,
by 5 business days after the meeting. And when they get finally approved is that can be the third thing kicked down the road.
Okay.
Maybe we could take care of one of them tonight. Well, no, so
Well,
we got,
I think doing this is more important than minutes. Because we need Renee to be able to have as much as she can to work with.
so what's your pleasure on manufactured housing park? Does it even matter in these 3 districts?
I think in the EV it does, there's a few
EV.
lots that
Yeah,
are large enough to
Yeah,
do it.
So no an EVD downtown?
Define manufactured housing. Is it
Well,
wheels?
yeah, it's built on a frame and it's built to a different building code. It's the HUD code.
the HUD code,
There's a long lengthy description that
right,
nails it, but we refer to that RSA as what the definition is.
right.
basically, it's something that comes in on a chassis. And they take the wheels off
And put a
and you can
skirt
put-
on it.
and you can put 2 of them together,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
otherwise known as a double wide.
So just, oh,
And as opposed to a factory built or modular,
I was thinking,
which is pre-built, comes in on a trailer, is hoisted into place with a crane, can be stacked, placed next to each other or whatever to form the finished dwelling or dwelling
they
unit.
can be pretty classy.
They are. They are very nice.
Yep.
I know a guy with a gorgeous house. He's right off the rail trail. He's probably Dick Core.
Mhm. Yeah,
And he took me inside his house once and then he told me it came in on 8 trailers.
and I saw what was there before his house, like just a little cottage all run down.
So how about EVDs? What are we gonna do?
Okay,
So I would allow the EV special exception, the EVD and allow an EV4. That'd be my suggestion.
yeah,
ASA,
That'd be my suggestion, yeah.
is that, consensus?
all right. So,
Second page, let's see. Brewery, distillery or vintner. Middle of the page, I highlighted yellow for S, and I think that was because maybe I couldn't remember what we decided.
you're on page 2?
Plan 2,
2.
page 2. Brewery, distillery or vintner.
Oh, there you are. Yes. Yeah, that looks right.
yeah,
Okay. Contractor's yard.
allowed,
We're allowing it downtown?
and you're not allowing the other ones. Saying special
Like I
exception.
say, I may not have interpreted the last discussion properly, so let's take it up.
I would think it would be the other way around.
I could see it allowed in EV4.
Yeah,
I would probably look at the special exception in EV and
I would say no in downtown.
probably no in
Yeah,
downtown.
no, in downtown, you want,
That's what I mean, yeah.
yeah,
So NSF,
commercial trucks.
no,
SNS.
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 All right.
or even SNA.
Yeah, then you said allowed.
Yeah, I said allowed in EV four.
SNA, I thought it was.
Okay,
SNA,
okay.
yeah.
SNA. All right. Okay, on to page 3. Yeah, recreational facility outdoor. Now remember, this is a commercial recreational facility outdoor. EV4.
I guess they can make money on it.
Someone wants to put a driving range out behind where Raphael's was, for instance.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So that's an A?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Skip over the recreational aircraft.
Oh, this one's a
I mean,
paintball.
you know, if somebody wanted to put a bowling alley in or indoor
Bowling
mini
alley
golf,
Yeah.
I think allowed is good.
Skip over airplanes. On something there. On page 4. Nothing, no, we made all those decisions. Page 5. Dog park, outdoor, EVD. Some reason I've got that highlighted yellow. I think that's right? No?
Yeah, that's correct. No, and allowed in 4, and then nowhere else.
And we're gonna leave out the transitional housing stuff. That brings it to page 6. Nothing to do there. The last decision we made is an RN that I confirmed, so. And then page 7. Commercial farm stand. I highlighted those. Why did I highlight those?
Special.
I don't remember why I highlighted those. It probably had something to do with the fact that they're not. Oh, I know, I remember now. Farm stands are permitted in R1, 3, and 5, but
Right.
it doesn't go to the. It doesn't really talk about a commercial farm stand as per this definition. So we might be,
So someone might have a hobby farm and just want
well,
to.
that's allowed.
Like Kara Drexler does.
Yeah, but where you had something that was more along the lines of Edgewater Farm,
Primitive pickings.
yeah, primitive pickings.
Yeah.
Do you want to just allow those or not?
I think the way it is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And page 8. Manufacturing light, we don't have good definitions for these. I think we were arguing over EV4 last time and I didn't see a conclusion.
I think you're right. We need the definition of, we'll just
Yeah.
rehash the same arguments.
Okay. See if I can come up with something.
Yeah.
Page 9, last page. So. Oops. Essential public utilities, water supply, treatment, and storage, there, it's just not addressed in the existing
Right.
zoning ordinance and.
I kind of think we should just chop it because we don't really have a whole lot of control.
They put them where they want.
It's the
Right.
easement.
Yeah.
So just leave it out entirely.
Well, or you, either that or you give them an S.
Just allowed.
Or just allow it so that.
It's allowed.
Define the easement. They can put it.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's allowed.
It's allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So The last thing was just a small grouping of miscellaneous land uses and, mixed use.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, wireless towers, we cannot prohibit them anywhere.
Right.
All right, that's,
So
yes.
I would think we gotta say allowed anywhere.
Right.
We can't say special exception.
Well, is that the difference in just a commercial or, somebody putting a ham radio tower up?
This is commercial stuff.
This is all commercial.
Well, the way I interpreted the existing ordinance is it's a special exception in any of our existing districts, right? Or am I wrong about that?
For commercial wireless towers?
Yeah.
I don't believe it's a special exception. That's not.
No, it's not because we approved them. We approved them at the planning board. Special exception would have had to have gone to zoning. Right, the one on top of
And we can't,
Driveway
we
Hill.
can't prohibit it by
Right.
federal law,
Right,
which
so it's
means
allowed,
a special exception is sort of a prohibition.
right.
So basically, it's gotta be allowed everywhere.
Yep.
And the CO is definitely no. That I do remember.
The CO is no, it can't be.
It was written prior to the federal law.
Right, it was written prior to the, it is a no in ours right now,
Okay.
but it can't be.
It can't be.
So it needs to be.
Right, it's superseded by federal law, so.
Yeah,
So this last three
Right.
miscellaneous
that
land,
whole thing should be rewritten anyways, but
Right,
that whole section.
mixed use buildings.
Yep.
So those are not addressed in the R1 through CO. It's kind of implied, but it's not really explicit, so I suggest we just allow it.
yeah,
We didn't wanna screw around with those other districts, but. So this
right,
would be
we
a
can't
change.
go around with the other districts.
Right, but what does it say now in the regs?
It's just not addressed.
So it's not permit, so if it's not there, it's not permitted.
Okay. So we say no?
And in the other districts, yeah. Because that's mixed use. I interpret it as residential plus commercial.
Right,
So,
So you got a good definition, actually. Two or more uses allowed within the land use district.
right. So downtown,
yeah,
you should be allowed to have mixed use,
right,
because it
right,
is.
well, I'm not saying no
He's
to
talking
law,
about the
I'm
other
saying the other. The R1, 3, 5,
Yeah,
we're
but we
not
can't-
touching, we're not,
Right,
shouldn't be working, supposedly working on.
so what are they now?
What Kurt's saying is that since they're not explicitly allowed, they're not allowed.
Right.
Yeah.
So for the 1 through CO, they should be ends is what, if we're not going to change anything.
Yeah, just leave it blank.
No,
Well, just,
currently it's a no.
It's a.
Yeah. yeah,
The Copeland block was a mixed
The
use.
Copeland block is not an R1, R3, R5, CI or
Right.
CO.
It's CV, it's in the
Yeah.
village downtown. It's the 1, 3, 5 and CICO that it was never there, so
Right.
thus it's
Yeah.
not allowed.
yeah,
So I would say one interesting thing, and so I looked up in your zoning ordinance, the definition, so in the
Yep.
appendix. Mixed use, the definition says, any combination of permitted uses in the affected district. So in R1 or in R5, if you're allowed
But does,
this use and this use,
do we allow it now? That's the question. It's not if
You
we
know,
want
if you
it.
put them together.
We've said we're not going to try to change that now. So the question is, do we allow it today or not?
See, that's what I read
That's-
too. and-
that's, I think,
And that's where it wasn't really
it's
clear.
not really clear, because by the definition, it says any combination of permitted uses in the affected district is a mixed use. So thereby,
It's mixed
if
use
you're
allowed.
allowed,
If they're,
if they are
if the
allowed in the
uses are allowed,
district,
then the two together would be allowed.
right?
The combined would be allowed.
it's fuzzy. I will say
Yeah.
it's very
Or
fuzzy,
maybe we've changed the definition,
but it's, yeah,
or changed the way it's worded, so it's clearer.
Well, this is, the definition will be right
it'll
here,
be that.
Yeah,
Right.
below.
Well, yeah, if it's two uses that are allowed, then
yeah.
putting them together makes them
Okay,
allowed. If
okay.
one of them is not allowed,
Right,
then
then,
it's
Then it
not,
can't happen.
then you
Okay,
can't have it.
Okay,
So this should be all A's then.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, all right, I
mixed use
wasn't,
is allowed
right, I mean,
By
I wasn't reading the
by
definition.
this,
when I was-
by our definition of mixed use,
Yeah,
that it's allowed in all districts.
All right, these last two terms, I don't think belong in this table.
interpretation line.
I think they belong in the,
No,
So if
the
it
regular definition.
Yeah.
wanted to,
I
things are
agree.
allowed, it's then allowed together.
Right.
And that could be maybe a highlight for legal.
Right.
Just be like, is this clear enough? Do we have
Yeah.
this
yeah,
yeah,
Well,
legally not as fuzzy?
well, it's not so much that is, when we present the ordinance,
Yeah,
our message is, we're not screwing around with the other districts. Nothing you see there is changing.
right.
However, if there is something that we're gonna change, we
Right.
need to make note of it, let
Mhm.
people know.
right. I think it's a
well,
question.
when you say, if there's something, if there's something there, we are going to change, or in the future?
No,
No.
Something
Right
that
now.
we have,
For example,
we have changed.
For example,
Yeah.
cell towers.
Right,
We
okay,
are going to change that to meet federal law because our existing ordinance
Right.
no longer.
yeah, okay,
is-
okay,
And it's gonna be a separate, it would be a separate
Amendment.
amendment. It would be a separate article. Where anything that we're changing in 1, 3, and 5 would have to be a separate article, because we're saying we're only changing the zoning ordinances, and that's how we're selling it. In the EVD, EVP4.
I don't,
I would
I'm
have
not
worded it
approaching
away.
it that way, because
Yeah,
I think you say, we say to the voters that we've made, we really attempted not to change anything in
Right.
the other districts. However, there were three things that we just could not get around changing, and these are
Right.
them,
Because we're following federal law. We had to change them because of federal law.
right, whatever the reason.
In which case, do they get to vote on it?
They do, because they're.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
You're right, like with the floodplain updates,
Right. They get to vote on it. They have to
but
vote.
there's
for it.
no choice.
There's no choice.
Well,
That's
no,
why I'm
it's not
saying-
an individual article.
Well, why I'm
Yeah, it
saying
is, isn't it?
no, no,
It ha-
you're
it has-
you're adopting the new zoning ordinance, and
Yeah,
the
except,
focus was on the EV and the EV Route 4 downtown area. However, there was other things we discovered
right,
outside of those areas specifically that needed to be addressed.
okay, then here's my answer to you. If they vote no on that,
Mhm.
then we're out of compliance with federal law
Doesn't matter,
on wireless towers.
doesn't matter,
Well, we
'cause we
already
have been
have, so-
anyway, and no one's shooting us.
They would go to.
Right, well, right, when the solar code comes
What?
in,
They wouldn't even have to go get
They
it.
would, yeah.
They walk in the
would
door
walk-
and say, I'm putting my tower up.
right, yeah,
Okay,
so,
So then if they vote no, the whole new zoning ordinance gets voted no.
that's right,
So
Yeah.
we're left with the old ordinance
that's right,
without any further amendments,
that's
just the
right.
way it sits today. We hope that don't happen.
We hope that doesn't happen, but I was just trying to get at least that approved if the other didn't get approved.
no, I mean, that's. Yeah, okay, I understand, okay,
Just, all I'm trying to do is
Yeah.
meet the federal regulations. The things that actually have to change.
So, I think
I don't care.
we've accomplished a lot.
Yeah, we have.
We have. And we will accomplish more in a week because there's no
Right.
site plans or any other public hearings.
I thought there was something on the agenda.
As they say, Kurt, it's a hill I'm not gonna die on.
Yeah, 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 right.
There's hearings on the second week, or the last meeting of the month.
Right,
Yeah, oh,
I won't be here either. For the last
Well-
meeting of the month, but I'll try to be online.
Okay,
I'm on vacation.
lucky you. Okay, Dan?
Working magic.
You want me to make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and by Dan, seconded by Linda, all in favor. Aye, opposed, abstentions, 9:05. We're gone.
Let's talk. Over. Is it? Gotta be.